Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is our College Funding Secrets workshop, and we will get started here. Welcome. This is our live workshop. This is not a sales pitch, so do put your credit cards away. This is literally a workshop. We're not going to sell you anything on this webinar. It's not a bunch of fluff that we're going to go over and then hit you at the end with something great to buy. It is live, is all the good stuff. Take two. All right. Hi, everyone. This is our College Funding Secrets workshop. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to start off with a little housekeeping to get started. Welcome. This is a live workshop. Okay. Hello, thank you for joining us. This College Funding Secrets live webinar. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, welcome. This is a live workshop. We are getting a lot of you on, so we're very excited about that. It makes it a lot more fun. This is not a sales pitch. This is literally a workshop. So put your credit cards away. We are not selling anything on this webinar. We're going to give you all the good stuff right here live. So do please be interactive. Put your questions in the chat box. If I don't answer them throughout this webinar, we will have time at the end, and I'll stay on until all of our questions are answered. Okay, so I am Corey Murphy. I get to be your host tonight. I've been in college planning for more than 20 years now. I've had my own small boutique firm where I've worked closely with a small number of students and families at one time. And I've been part of a large national firm where I've overseen all of this for 1,500 or so students each year. And now I'm right there with you, goosebumps and all, with these two beauties of my own. So please be interactive. Thank you for letting me know where you're from in the chat. I'm always curious about that. The point of being on this live workshop is to have that engagement and get to interact with all of you. I will answer all of your questions, even if we go over time. That's why we're here live, and I will make sure that your questions get answered. And I will make sure that this is a very valuable hour for you, just like it was for some of these families. All right, so let's take a deep breath and jump into it. The main focus for tonight is going to be secret number one, how to maximize free money for college, specifically maximizing that free money for college and reducing the sticker price. That is our main focus. I'll say it again, how to maximize the free money and reduce that sticker price of college. I know it's a big promise, but we have examples, we have case studies, we have real numbers to show you and go over tonight. Also, even if you are high income, you can get free money for school. You don't need to be low income. You don't need to have a superstar kid to maximize that free money and reduce the sticker price. Those of you who make too much money to qualify for aid, quote unquote, or who maybe have an exceptionally gifted kid in other ways, there are the same opportunities for you. So let's start off with the bad news. And this is why we're all here, right? The cost of college is skyrocketed. It's way higher than any of us ever anticipated, especially compared to what we were paying when we were in college. And for a lot of families, we've saved a little or maybe we haven't saved anything at all. Either way, we're just short. It is more than we ever anticipated and gotten to be so expensive. So that makes us nervous and brings us to workshops like this and gives us a great group of people to come alongside and help. Because for those of us in high school, we know the average sticker price is about $35,000 a year. It's a little cheaper if you're going to the public school in your backyard, maybe a little bit more if you're going to that out-of-state public school or private school. And if you're going to one of those elite private schools, then it could cost up to $85,000. Very, very expensive. This article also goes on to say that the scary thing is those numbers are going up at a rate of about 6.8%. That's been consistent for years, and there's no signs of that slowing down. And then the article at the bottom here talks about the loss of income, the interest on loans, the opportunity costs that all add up while our kids are pursuing their degree. So taking all that into account, they're calculating $500,000 that these undergrad degrees are costing parents and students. Very, very expensive. So tonight we're going to show you how to maximize free money, how to push that cost down, reduce that sticker price of college. So this is us, Legety.com. We teach the 4 secrets to college funding. So no matter how old your kiddos are, you're in the right spot and we have you covered. Secret number 1, that's us tonight, how to reduce the sticker price of college, maximize that free money. Secret number 2, how to reduce college loans and loan payments. That's Lisa. And then 3 and 4 is the retirement scholarship strategy. It's a mouthful. Retirement scholarship strategy with Lance. So let's get started here on our secret number 1, how to maximize their free money and reduce that sticker price of college without searching for private scholarships. That is not what we're going to go over tonight. The reason is we all need that free money, and we think private scholarships, but those private scholarships only make up about 1% of all the money that's out there. And so that surprises families a lot. The bulk of the money is actually in the college's own coffers, and they are giving it to students that need it, quote unquote, by their math, and we'll look at that, but mostly they're giving it to the students that they want to give it to. And so now you're all thinking, well, who do they want to give it to? And they want to give it to students that will help that college achieve their goals. So students who are in the upper 10, 25% of the class at the university help the university achieve its goals. Those goals might be to increase the average test score, to increase the average GPA. They need and want students that they are confident are going to enroll, do well while they're there, graduate on time, and reflect back positively on that university. They need families who are going to help them increase their net tuition revenues, cover their bills, and students that are going to help them reach these goals are the kids that they want to give money to. So what does that mean? That means that picking the right colleges is secret number 1. Secret number 1 is all about college selection. Not only the colleges that our kids are selecting, but academically, where do our kids ranked compared to the other applicants at that college, compared to the other students enrolled in that college? Financially, where do we rank as parents compared to the other families at that college? Let me show you what I mean. Here it is. This is a graphic of what's happening at your colleges. This is the secret to maximizing your free money and reducing your sticker price. And knowing how a college is going to look at us when they make their admissions and scholarship decisions tells us beforehand if this is a college that's going to maximize that free money and help us reduce that sticker price. Okay, let me break it down and explain. First of all, it starts with us parents. over here on the left side of the graph. Okay, when we submit our financial aid forms, is it going to show high income and assets, a high EFC, or is it going to show lower income and assets, a lower EFC? If it is high, can it be any lower? Okay, where we land financially on this side of the grid is step number one. So the EFC is step number one. Step number two, when our kids submit their admissions applications, where will they land along the bottom here? Will they look like an exceptionally gifted student at that college that they're applying to? Or are they gifted in other ways and they're going to land over here compared to the other students that are applying there? If your kids are like mine, I have one of each. So then when colleges are making their admissions decisions and their scholarship decisions, they're putting us all on some sort of graph that looks like this. And if your kiddos are on this side of the graph over here, and we have a high EFC, we need to be ready to pay full price. When our kids are on this side of the graph and we have a low EFC, they're still going to get admitted. Getting admitted isn't the issue. These kids getting the financial aid is the issue. These kids who are gifted in other ways from families with low income and assets, low EFCs, they can get a Pell Grant for up to about $7,000 that they don't have to pay back, and a student loan for about $5,500 that they do have to pay back. So that's $12,500 a year. They're admitted, they're not given enough aid to make college affordable. $12,500 at a $30,000 a year school and no means to fill that gap is not a good scenario, right? But then we come over here. And this is why college selection is of the utmost importance. When we work with our kids to pick colleges where they fall on this side of the graph, where they look to be exceptionally gifted, where they are standing out at the front of the pack compared to the other applicants and the other students enrolled at that college, when they pick these colleges and we have high income over here, colleges want these kids. Every college in the country wants these kids. And when they enroll, they'll offer discounts and scholarships to entice them to pick their college over a competitor college. And when our kids are on this side of the graph and they're low income and we have low EFCs, that's where families can really hit the jackpot and we can get incredible financial aid awards with a lot of free money. Okay. So that's the secret. Pretty simple, right? I'm teasing. It's not simple at all, or we wouldn't be here. This is about our kids and our money, which are two very complicated things. So let's pause for a minute. I'm going to simplify it. Consider, where do you and your student fall on the grid at the colleges that you're looking at right now today? Okay, tell me in the chat where you feel like you fall. Are you over here? Are you down here? Are you going to fall in the full price? You're going to fall over here. Tell me in the chat. If you're like most families, you're going to fall somewhere here in the middle, right? So what do we do? What do we do to push ourselves down this side of the graph and push our kids over on this side of the graph? When we push down on this side, we call that financial positioning, okay? It's about the EFC and the forms that we file. It's all about, and we'll dive into this, it's about need-based aid and merit-based aid and calculated aid, and we'll get into that. But I first want to go over the student positioning side. What do we do? Where do we focus to move our kids along the graph and push to the left there? Okay, you can help your students get their best GPAs. None of this and what I'm talking about is about having a perfect test score or a perfect GPA. It's all relative to the colleges that we pick. So we can help them get their best GPA, take the strongest courses that they can and still preserve that GPA. They can study for and get their best SAT and ACT test scores. Do some career assessment work so they have an idea of what they want to study and why. Now, will they change their mind? Maybe, probably. They're only kids, but that's okay. All we want is for them to be thinking about and get started on the right track, a track that they're confident in and excited to pursue. And then it's the college search. And it's picking those colleges that are going to want to give your student and your family that free money. And then they submit good essays and applications. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, let's talk about GPAs. We'll isolate it down to the GPA. If your student has a 3.7, and this is the school that they are applying to, they're at the front of the pack. They stand out. They're in the top 10, top 25% of the class at this college. Okay, now then they'll get admitted, right? And here at the second one, 3.7, now we lose a little bit of ground. We slide to the middle a bit. At this college, if they're applying, it's 3.9 is the average. So now we're sliding all the way over on our graph. Now, will they get admitted to all three schools? Very likely, okay? But at this school here, they're at the front of the pack, so they're going to get more money, moderate, and maybe less, okay? Here is why okay, so don't now they could very well get admitted to all three schools, but where will they be able to maximize that free money and reduce the sticker price? Here, right? Here where they're at the front of the pack compared to all the other students. Now, please don't think that because the average GPA at this school is lower, that it's a bad school or that it's too easy. And please do not get hung up on any of the names of the school and cross it off your list because you don't recognize it. You will miss out on some real gems if you do. All right, same goes for test scores. I'm showing you only the SAT score, but colleges don't care if a student submits an SAT or an ACT. They just want the student's best score. So say we have a 1450 SAT score. How would we look at these two schools? At this first school on the left, we'd be above average at the front of the pack. And at this other school, we'd have a great score, but compared to everyone else wanting to go there and applying there, we'd be in the middle of the pack. So more opportunity for money at the school on the left, a little bit less of the opportunity for money at the school on the right. And then let's look at the money, right? Who has money to give and who are they giving it to? This school on average gives $8,000 to only 38% of students, while the school on the right gives $47,000, but only to 44% of the students. They can't do it for everybody, right? But the money starts at the top and it trickles down. I think we all can agree on that. So at these schools, we better be above average compared to everyone else that is there, or the money's going to run out by the time that it gets to us. And the better we are positioned in that class, the closer we are to the money, and we're maximizing that free money and reducing our sticker price. And finally, the colleges. Are colleges buyers or sellers of their product? How hard do they have to compete to get students to come their way over picking a competitor's college? So look here, how many students do they admit? How many students actually enroll? If the number that enrolls is on the low end, that means that college is losing prospective students to other competing colleges. And if you're losing prospective customers in your business, what would you do? You'd have a promotion, you'd offer a sale, something like that. Colleges do the same. They build beautiful new buildings. They beef up their sports teams. They award bigger scholarships. So now we can see if they are buyers or sellers. So this school has an 18% enrollment yield. They're giving $26,000 on average to 89% of students. So we see where our opportunities are. Now, are they going to be able to do that for everybody? No, they're just going to be able to do it for those of us who fall on that left side of the grid. Let's look at another school. How many students do they admit? How many actually enroll? 51% at this school. And they actually give more money, 49,000 to 63% of kiddos. And then there's another one. They are all different. This student, 86% of students enroll at this school, and they also give a good amount of money. Every college is different out there. This is what you want to understand to maximize your free money for your school. So let's go back to this graphic. Can we live on this side of the grid and maximize that free money? When we see families drift over here, and then we're losing money, we're getting less money, and we're paying more for college. So we need our kids to be picking colleges where they're going to live over here and not drift this way. So let's get into that financial positioning. I bypassed it, but now let's do it. Okay, first of all, we need to know what our EFC is. Where are we going to land on that graph? Second, we need to understand what the college is going to do with that information and their math. Now, you can go find an online calculator to do your EFC. You can meet with us. We'll do it for you. We'll run that EFC, tell you where you fall on that graph, and tell you what a few colleges would net out at based on all of their data. So some of you may be able to affect your income and assets and push that number down. If you can, we can talk to you about how to do that and if it makes sense to do that. Doesn't always have that, families don't always have the ability to affect that EFC. If you're set on your colleges and you can't affect your EFC, then you just need to figure out how to pay for it all. And that is not in this workshop. That's actually workshop number 3 and 4 with Lance. So if you haven't watched those, put yourself on that webinar registration. Okay, tonight we are talking about EFCs and college selection. So when you know it and you understand it, then you have the power to maximize your free money and reduce that sticker price. So a couple things. Your EFC is a number that's based on the income and the assets of you and your student. It is calculated when you complete the FAFSA form and the CSS form. So you're actually going to get 2 EFCs, and they're going to be 2 different EFCs. The CSS profile EFC is typically higher because it's asking for more information that goes into that calculation. And it is calculated every single year that your student is going to college. And then the other secret and the other part of the EFC is understanding what that college's stats are and how that all comes together. Okay, so I want to caution you first before we really dive into this. The EFC is the amount you're expected to pay to cover college costs, and this includes tuition, room and board, books, and other miscellaneous expenses. But it's not the exact amount you are going to pay for college. It's not going to be your college bill. Rather, it is a variable in an equation that the college has for their financial aid math that they determine your financial aid eligibility and how much they're going to be scholarshiping. Okay. Here's the math. Cost of attendance, that is that published sticker price of tuition and room and board and books and miscellaneous expenses. And then they're going to subtract your EFC. They're going to subtract any merit scholarships that they've already awarded you, and that equals your remaining financial aid eligibility or your quote unquote need. Now you're all going to go to financial aid night at your school, and there's going to be representatives from the colleges there, and someone in the audience is going to ask about aid, and the representative is going to say something like this. They're going to say, yes, we have money for students that need it. And you're all sitting there thinking, well, I need money for college. This is great. But what they're saying is this is the math that they do first. And then when there's need, they have money for that need. Okay. Let's dive a little deeper. What does all of this mean? Okay, if our EFCs are low, and remember it comes from income and assets on the financial aid forms. So let's say our EFC is $10,000. Okay, this is an in-state public school, it costs 30. They're going to subtract our EFC of 10. They're going to give us a merit award of 5. So we have a remaining eligibility of $15,000. So we qualify for $15,000 of financial aid. Let's take a high-priced private school. As scary as it is to look at those prices, don't be too scared until we do the math. So this school costs 80 minus 10 for our EFC, no merit, because that's not how they run their business, but that leaves us with $70,000 of remaining financial aid eligibility. Again, making the college selection the #1 secret to maximizing this free money and reducing our sticker price. All right, so what happens if you have a high EFC? Okay, if you have a high EFC and you're at that same public school that costs $30,000, they're going to subtract your EFC of 50 and then maybe give you a merit scholarship of 15, and we're not going to have any financial aid eligibility left over. Oh, well, right? Because they gave us $15,000, and 15,000 off of 30 is 15. So that's a great deal. Meanwhile, at a higher price private, we think, oh, we can do this. It's 80 minus our 50, no merit. Now we're only eligible for $30,000 of financial aid. Every school is going to treat our EFCs differently. Our EFC is going to stay the same across the board, but the cost of college is going to change, and the merit scholarships are going to change, and the net eligibility is going to change based on the colleges that we pick. Okay, so next steps. Now that we are going to know our EFCs going in and we understand the math, we need to get our hands on the college's aid and scholarship stats and run those numbers specifically for your family and your kiddo so you know what is coming down the pike. Okay, so let's look at some schools. I normally don't want to get hung up on names of schools, but we will in this segment of our presentation. So do the colleges that your student is looking at have money to give? So first, it's all about chasing the merit money as hard and fast as we can. Okay, Seattle Pacific has 33,000 on average, but they only give it to 5% of kids. University of Puget Sound, 24, but oh, they're giving it to 45% of students. Southern Methodist, Vanderbilt, Stanford. Stanford does not give merit money. That's just how they have chosen to operate. They only give need-based money. So this is why, where are we falling on that grid? If they're only giving need-based money, we absolutely have to be over in that exceptionally gifted part. Because if we're not there, everybody else is paying full price. Seattle Pacific, we need to be over there to get some. Everybody else is paying full price. These two schools, they're giving it to 40–45% of students. So we can drift a little bit over and probably still get these average numbers. But if we drift over to the left, and we're in the exceptionally gifted compared to everyone else at that school, the average is now maybe we're getting above average awards. So it's all going to be relative to where we're at on that grid and how the colleges are operating. Okay, so we chase the merit money hard and fast, we get as much as we can, and then we figure out our need. Okay, again, every school is different. Some schools are going to meet a lower percentage of need, like this first one. And then the follow-up question is, okay, of my need that they meet, how much of that is free money? And then how much is loans? Because those loans we're going to have to pay back. The grants, the scholarships, those we don't ever have to pay back, but the loans we do. Or if it's a work study job, then our kids have to work for that paycheck. So how much gets covered is very different at different schools and universities, right? And so here's the Stanford. They're like, we are absolutely going to help everyone that needs it by our math. We're just not going to do merit money because we're Stanford. If you want to come here, then we're Stanford. You can come. All right, and I'm seeing questions in the chat, and that's great. Okay, let's go back to the graph. I'm going to bring this back again and again. This, my friends, is why college selection is so critical on how to maximize the free money and reduce that sticker price on college. Because when you can live over here on the left side of the grid, when your students are at the front of the pack, you will have the best opportunities to maximize that free money and reduce that sticker price. So no matter where you're at, if you're pushing this way, financial positioning, student positioning, collectively pushing in this direction, we are maximizing that free money and reducing the sticker price of college. Now, let me give you a bonus tip here, okay? Bonus tip, always, always, always complete your financial aid forms. The admissions applications are essentially your student's first scholarship application. Your financial aid applications are the second scholarship application. So high income, high assets, even if your EFC is going to come back at $999,000, I don't care. Show them it is $999,000. If you are able and willing to pay for it, show them where you're at on the left side of the grid. So admissions applications are essentially your first scholarship application. Financial aid applications are your second. And so you're wondering, well, what are the financial aid applications? We all know about the FAFSA. The FAFSA is an application, the free application for federal aid. It is for federal aid, but colleges will also use it internally for their own scholarship money because it's a free form to them as well. Some schools are going to want the CSS profile form. Now, this is a second financial aid form that a lot of private schools will use to award their own money. So if that form is required, it means that there's extra institutional money on the table potentially. And if we want to dip into that bucket, then we need to do that form. Colleges may have their own need-based financial aid forms, and they may have their own merit-based scholarship forms. That's all going to depend on the donor and how that merit money is managed. So FAFSA goes to every school. CSS, the additional two forms, are going to be hit and miss depending on the colleges that your student is applying to and wants scholarships from. Okay, I'm going to put this on the list on the screen for us one more time. Ingrain that in your brain, take a picture of it if you want to, and we're going to dive into some case studies, which is my favorite part. Okay. We are going to talk about Sammy, and then we'll go over Cody and Zach. And I don't mean to be a downer, please stay with me here, but I have to start with what not to do and why. And I promise that I will finish on high. Okay, Sammy and his family didn't 100% grasp what we're teaching here tonight and use the strategies to their advantage. And they didn't get the results that they could have gotten. Okay, and then we'll look at Cody and Zach and all that went into it and their fabulous results. All right, so here's Sammy. He's from Connecticut, that's going to matter. And here's the colleges that are on his list. You probably all recognize the names of these schools. What I want to tell you is that his EFC was $11,000, so on the lower side. He had a great test score of 1470 and a weighted GPA of 4.3. So with those stats and this college list, is he qualified to go to these schools? Yeah, absolutely, right? Oh, wrong way. Let's look at him. Hey, he has great test scores. He has a great GPA. But now when we look at where does he rank on our grid compared to the other applicants that are there, it's a little bit different. He's in the top 25%. He's green compared to all the kids applying and enrolled at these schools highlighted here in green. At the yellow schools, he's more in the middle of the pack. He looks average compared to all the other students applying and enrolling at these colleges. Okay, so first, where do we rank? Where do we stack up? Second, I think we want to know which schools are public and which schools are private, which schools are in-state and which are out-of-state. And why does this matter? It matters because at public schools, the free money only goes to the top students. And at out-of-state public schools, out-of-state kids aren't going to be in line for that money. Colleges are more selective to who they're giving it to. So out of all the schools that he's applying to, Georgia Tech is a public school, but he's out of state. SUNY's public, he's out of state. UConn, he's in state, and UMass, he's out of state. Then we want to get deeper into the college's stats. He's got 4 schools on his list that are those very elite private schools. These schools are going to meet 100% of the family's need. That's why they're on the list. He has an $11,000 EFC. They're very generous, but they also have very low acceptance rates, right? They can't do it for everybody and keep the doors open. So again, here's the secret. This is what the graph is all about and why it's so critical to know where our kids are landing on that student positioning piece, where are they applying, how is the college going to behave, and we can expect and forecast some things. So put yourself in the college's shoes. Do you think Sammy was accepted to all the colleges that he applied to, knowing what you know now and seeing his stats? Where do you think that he was denied? Okay, I'll show you. As great as Sammy was with a 1470 SAT and a 4.3 GPA, he was only accepted at 5 of the colleges that he applied to. Why? Why was he only accepted at 5? Because at all the others, he was average compared to the other applicants and the students enrolled in that college. And at the green schools, he was on the left side of our grid, and at the yellow schools, he drifted to the middle. That and the low acceptance rates at the other schools, they just couldn't accept him. There were too many students ahead of him in line. So we have Yale and Penn and Princeton over here, and we have Drexel and these schools over here. Did Sammy get a full ride? No, but he did get some very sizable discounts, and it all worked out in the end, just like it will for your kiddos. They will get accepted for college. They will apply for scholarships and get scholarships. We just want them to be able to maximize that free money as much as possible and reduce the sticker price of college, like these next kids did. Ready? All right, so Mr. Cody, this is fun. These are the schools on his list. They are big schools, costly schools, right? He's landing, and oh, here's his stats. High EFC, high ACT, high GPA, and he's going into medicine. Amen. Right? This is his list. Now, where is he at compared to all the other applicants on this list? Is he going to stay on the left side of the graph, or is he going to drift over in the middle or all the way over at some of these schools? By just looking at the names, we don't know. What do we need? We need the college's numbers, so we'll know where he lands exactly and what kind of results he can expect. At 3 schools, he was over and above, over far in the green. And at those others, he's in the middle. Okay. High EFC, high test score, high GPA. What happens? Every college in the country wants these kids except Stanford, right? Stanford was his #1 pick. Did he qualify to go to Stanford? Amen. Yes, absolutely. But compared to everyone else at Stanford, he was average. And the acceptance rates are so competitive that he was waitlisted. Okay. We knew this could very likely happen, which is why we applied to all the other schools. And he was accepted at every single one of them. So we're happy. We're very happy. Here's Stanford, right? I'm going to show you the money. Johns Hopkins, he was accepted, but they didn't give anything. And then all the other schools are like, yeah, we want to play, right? We know that they're high income, high assets, high EFC, but we want to play and entice this student to pick our school over our competitors. And here's what that looked like. So Johns Hopkins, nothing. Occidental, 18, University of Portland, 17, Duke, a little bit, Emory, Portland, Oregon State. USC was the one that went all in, $35,000 tuition waiver. Okay, discount, a sizable discount. And that is where he decided to go. There's more to this story. This is a 71% discount off of his undergrad. And the extra part of this story is they took all of his AP classes, right? So that let him come in as a sophomore with sophomore standing. As a freshman, they put him on a research project and paid him another $3,000 to work on that research project. So he could have graduated early, coming in as a sophomore, but to quote his parents, they said, he's like a kid in a candy store. So he double majored in history and pre-med. The first research project that he was published on, I get a little choked up, so I lose my spot. The first research project was published. Okay, our goal is med school. Can you imagine what his resume for med school looks like at this point? Not only the first one, he got on a second research project and it was published. So I smirk because remember Duke? And Duke said, yeah, you can come, but we're only going to give you 8. Now he's ready to go to med school. And they said, please, please, please come get your MD and PhD and we'll scholarship the entire thing. These are the opportunities that our kids can position themselves for when they are picking the right schools and positioning themselves at the front of the pack. The opportunities that will be presented to them that they can take advantage of are, we can't predict. We cannot predict. All we can do is help them set themselves up to take advantage of these opportunities when they come. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Zach. Zach is very different. Zach was Pacific Northwest kind of guy, not a big list. It was a smaller footprint that he wanted to make. Here's the thing about his family, and they're one of my favorites because their EFC was 25,000. There was nothing that they could do about that EFC. It is what it is. He had a very decent test score. We had him do some prep, so he was able to bump it up to a 1220. He did some honor society. He was on the bowling team. Not a lot for extracurriculars and a big resume. But these 4 colleges were all green. At all 4 colleges, he was in the top 10 to 25% of the class compared to everyone else. So he's over on that left side of the grid. So we're off to a good start, right? Okay. Then what do we need? We need to know what schools are public and private. We have 3 public schools and 1 private school. And he didn't actually apply to Oregon that's another story for another time. I'll tell you when we meet. One private and 2 publics. And he stayed on the left side of the grid. Okay. They said public schools can't always do a lot, but they know they have to do something. So here's 1,200. Here's, 7 from New Mexico Tech. What's going on there is you have an out-of-state school that is saying, hey, we don't have scholarship money to give you, but you're an out-of-state student. So come and we'll discount that out-of-state tuition down to that public school price. We don't care where it comes from or what they call it. We just care that it reduces our net cost, right? But then University of Portland said, oh, hey, wait, we will discount this quite a bit, so much so that the net cost is now actually down to that public school level. And I share this with you because so many of you can identify with this family. You have great kids and they have worked hard and they deserve it. But the idea of looking at these higher priced private schools and paying that sticker price is terrifying. And it was for this family as well. Okay. But when you know what we know now or what we're teaching, we're not paying sticker price. The other part that was so stressful for this family, and my heart went out to them and we're still very tight. They had 3 car payments, they had a trailer payment, and they had their house payment. So there's money going out and no money saved for college, none. The other part about it is dad worked a job where sometimes it could be seasonal and he could have time that he didn't work. So we didn't have 2 consistent incomes from both parents. But they did it. And you can do it and I can do it just like they did it and do it even better because they had the help and they understand. They chose to go to University of Portland because now all 3 schools were on par and the same net cost. They could look at the extra benefits of private school. Yeah, they had to loan the whole thing. They used other people's money to pay for this. Scotland, secret workshop with Lance, 3 and 4. They used other people's money and they used loans to pay for his entire 4 years. Okay. Time and compound interest. And by the time Zach graduated, they had 80% of his loans covered. Okay. 80%. And with a college degree and 80% of his loans covered, he can do the extra 20. Within 2 years of graduating, he had covered the extra 20% of his loans and he had bought his first home. Okay. This is what we're doing with our families, with our kids. This is what we want as parents. And this is what we want to help you all with. Excuse me, I love this part. So schedule a one-on-one phone call with us. We will answer all your questions. We will create a game plan for your specific situation. We are here to help. There's no work that I've ever done that is more important. And yes, we will look at real numbers and case studies. We change the names to protect the anonymity of the people. That's what we want. So schedule with us, let us help. We'll talk you through some of the complexities of your family and get you on the right track. That's our webinar. Give me feedback in the chat. If you have additional questions, fire away. We're here, and we just hope that you will schedule with us soon and hit any of our other workshops that could be very critical to your family. It all starts with reducing the sticker price, maximizing that financial aid. Then number 2 with Lisa and reducing the cost of loans and loan payments. And then those retirement scholarship strategies with Lance 3 and 4. Thank you.